And we're closing in on the weekend and probably dealing with our first severe weather threat in several months. Things have been pretty quiet here locally for the late fall months into the early winter, but things are picking up here on this Friday. Showers and thunderstorms, one round at least, rolled through earlier this morning, shortly after midnight across the metro area. Now we're dealing with some showers and thunderstorms once again, kind of in and around the local area. So as we kind of zoom in locally here on First Alert Radar Network, you can see where we're dealing with most of our thunderstorm action. Florida parishes up towards the state line, certainly the most intense weather right now into southwestern Mississippi, but we've got a few more showers here developing out in the Gulf. Those are going to be drifting off towards the northeast, so expect more in the way of thunderstorm action as we make our way into the early afternoon hours. The caveat here, the piece of information you need to know, is we're dealing with off and on variety for the rest of today. So there's going to be lulls or breaks in the action. We're not talking about a persistent wave of very heavy or strong thunderstorms to be in our forecast, but the bottom line is we are expecting still scattered numerous showers and thunderstorm potential through the rest of the day, and then a likelier chance as we get into Saturday morning once the cold front moves through. So this is our future cast. You can see how shower and thunderstorm action really kind of highlighted, it looks like, according to the model data, nearer and across the state line. So those areas may be more impacted, especially with the heavy rain threat that we're dealing with there than, say, areas to the south along the interstate corridor or south of that. As we get into the evening hours, you can see how rain action is not overly widespread, but we still got a few pockets of heavier thunderstorms, so we still could see maybe one or two severe storms even as we get into Friday evening. As we get into Saturday pre-dawn, you can see action still not all that widespread, but things are going to start to materialize here off towards our west, and that's going to be out ahead of our cold front. And so the cold front's going to develop what looks to be a line of thunderstorms that could be rolling through just around daybreak on Saturday. So if you've got early morning plans on Saturday, you may want to keep a watchful eye to the sky, try and delay them a little bit later in the day. We say that because I do think we're going to be able to salvage at least a portion of our Saturday. You'll notice how the line continues to advance towards the southeast. Now there still could be what we call overrunning moisture. Notice how the cloud field here is still moving from southwest to northeast. So we still have a moisture stream in kind of the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, kind of still moving through afternoon into the evening. Because of that, we can't completely rule out a few lingering showers into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, but if we see anything, should be very light in nature. Severe weather threat would have been coming to an end by that point, so there still could be some lingering rain. I don't want you to look at this and say, well, it's just cloud cover, because there are some models that do suggest that we could still see at least a little bit of rain into Saturday afternoon, evening, but it shouldn't really account to too much more. So again, highlighting the area north of Baton Rouge, closer to the state line. That's where our futurecast is indicating the heaviest rain amounts. You can see down towards the coast, less than an inch of rainfall. North of the coast towards the state line, 1 to 2+ inches of rain. So that's on the top of what we've already seen so far early this morning. Flip side to that is the HRRR model does show some heavier swaths here across Acadiana, but also still highlighting this area here, Florida parishes into the state line. So that's probably our area we're going to be watching closest for the threat of some flash flooding. So we're talking more or less nuisance variety. So your streets, your roadways, poorly drained areas, low-lying areas that it's typically see standing water anytime it rains heavily. Those are going to be the concern in these areas probably for the rest of today into tomorrow morning as well. So here are the overall threats that we're going to be watching for, kind of diagrammed in order of what we could see most likely. So primary concern is going to be the threat for damaging wind. So we're talking about straight line persistent wind of 60 miles per hour or greater. Secondary will be the threat of maybe some of that nuisance type flooding, again highlighted probably more so north of Baton Rouge, closer to the state line. We can't rule out a brief isolated tornado at this point, but does look like that threat should come to an end as we get into Friday evening. So that probably won't be much of an impact with the line that moves through during the morning on Saturday. Still, some of the heavier thunderstorms could produce some hail, but that's probably the distant third in terms of any threat that we're going to be watching for. So again, most of us are going to get through this just fine and unscathed. Probably not going to be a huge issue for everybody, but something we're going to be keeping a very close eye on, obviously, as we make our way through today into tomorrow.
Southern Air of Baton Rouge says no, 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 no interest, no money down, no payments for 12 months on HVAC, plumbing, and electrical services. Scan the QR code on your screen to learn more.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.